Welcome back to You Belong. Today's episode, we're concentrating all about first-generation college students' success inside the classroom. Stay tuned. All right, so one of the things that I like to do with my students and my clients is help them to be able to understand different concepts using acronyms. One of the acronyms that I like to use is FIRST for First Generation College Student. I think it's pretty easy to remember, so we're going to actually try that today. And we're going to use FIRST, F-I-R-S-T, to be able to help you understand better about being successful inside a college classroom. So let's take the first letter, F. F stands for front. As a first generation college student, I strongly encourage you to sit in the front of the class. When you're walking in, don't go to the back. So sit in front of the classroom, be attentive, and make sure you're being engaged in what your professor is teaching and saying. I is about inquiring. Ask questions. I want you to make sure your professor remembers your name and who you are. And the way to be able to do that is actually engaging in the class. Have a conversation. Raise your hand a couple of times and ask really thoughtful questions. And remember, there are no dumb questions. If you don't know something and you're brave enough to ask that question, you might help someone out who doesn't have as much confidence as you do in asking that important question. So if you don't understand something your professor is saying, if you want to clarify something the professor is saying or a concept you've learned in class, raise your hand and ask a thoughtful question. Asking your questions can also be done, remember, during your professor's office hours, even for some classrooms that you're able to stay behind and ask your question once the class is over. If maybe it's a more personal question or a question that you thought about after the class discussion was done. Let's go to the letter R. R stands for real world. When students are in college and we're just taught to memorize things, actually learning and remembering what you are being taught can be a little harder. So here's something really important that you can do as a first generation college student. Relate it to the real world. So how does this class relate to my everyday world? For instance, if you're taking a nutrition or a health class, if you're learning about how the food is and the food that's being put into your body makes a difference for you, how do you relate that to your real world? So if you're learning in class, why don't you take that back to the residence hall, or if you're living at home, take that back and figure out how you can relate it to your real world. So something really easy to be able to do. Let's say, for instance, you're learning about potassium in health class. Well, a banana has plenty of potassium. Being able to understand what you're learning in class and taking that into your real world and finding out how you can marry the two. As a track and field athlete, I actually learned this through my health class about eating bananas whenever we would catch a leg cramp. And had it not been for my class and me relating and going, light bulb moment, I need to probably eat more bananas so that I won't crap up as much and have the opportunity to get more potassium in my body. So taking what I learned in health class and really applying it to my real world of me being a student athlete and marrying the two really helped me to remember the information once it became test taking time. S. The S stands for show up, people. So simple, right? We often hear as we are on college campus, oh, you can skip class, don't worry about it, because you could just take the test at the end just studying. But that's not always true. Showing up for class is really important, and here are a couple of reasons why. One, you're paying for the class. And with all of this talk about student loans and how much money college is, why would you pay for class that you're not showing up to? So if you're paying for that class, it's probably a good investment to actually show up. Also, being able to take in information that you're not going to get from the book. Your professor, again, is an expert in the subject that the professor is teaching. So take this time to actually listen to an expert about that subject so you're learning throughout class. Some professors also count attendance as a part of your final grade within the class. And I've seen students who decided not to show up all semester long. The highest letter grade that they could make was a B in the class simply because they decided not to show. Showing up for class is an important investment, and it's important that you're prepared and ready to learn when you're showing up. The final letter, T. Take notes. And this could probably be a whole other episode that we do on how to take different notes. But the important piece is to remember to take notes while you're in class. As you're doing study groups, it's nice to be able to compare notes with other classmates in case there's something that you missed or you added an extra note that maybe your classmate didn't have. But taking notes is an important part of the process. Some of the ways that I like to take notes is actually within pictures. I like to draw bubbles and circles and different lines to all of my different notes, while some of my other friends and colleagues are more linear with their taking notes. Some of us like colors, and so we have different ways that in different colors that we take our notes in. Regardless of how you take notes and find out what's best for you, make sure that you're taking notes. There are departments on campus that will actually teach you about how to take notes. So some of those could be your writing center, your tutorial center. Ask around. If you're living in the residence hall, ask your residence hall staff. So making sure you're asking around of how to take notes, but remember to take really great notes. So that's it, guys. Remember, FIRST, so that you can succeed inside of the classroom. So until next time, don't forget to rate, comment, and subscribe. Let me know what topics, what issues, what questions you have by leaving a comment or even chatting it up with me on Twitter at FirstGenCollege. I am excited to talk to you again. I will see you guys next Friday and every First Gen Friday as we talk more about first generation college students and your success on the way to graduation. Until next time, remember you are beautifully and wonderfully made and you belong. Bye.